Welcome back, everybody. It is Crabcakes and Baseball. I am Jerry Shank, your host. With me, as always, Jamie Naill, our Maryland Scouting Director. Jamie, how's everything going?
We're rolling, Jerry. Preseason events have kicked off across the state, Maryland and Delaware. So we're rolling. Super excited about all of it.
Yes, and yes, it has been a busy week and a half, and going to be another busy next 4 weeks to a month with all of our upcoming events across the state in Maryland and Delaware. As Jamie had mentioned, we had last weekend our Delaware preseason ID along with Rising Stars and Freshman Showcase event, and then this past weekend we had the Maryland preseason ID, Rising Stars, and Freshman Showcase. So, a lot to talk about as we're going to just take a review this week and review these past events that we have been at and take a look at some of the players who really stood out to begin with. Now, obviously, it's not going to be every single player. Make sure you're visiting prepbaseballreport.com/Maryland. You'll be able to see the full story that we have on there along with videos as well. So make sure you're visiting the website to see that. We're only going to single out a few players here for the episode of Crabcakes and Baseball. But before we get into it, I just want to talk about a few things and get some items off the list real quick as we're going into this heavy traffic time. Our preseason all states are the last events that we have remaining that are available to attend in the winter. Our current session one is now officially sold out. Session two has only got about 10 spots left. So, because of that, in Maryland, we have added an extra event, and it's going to be on February 17th. That's Saturday, February 17th, at the new 80 scale baseball facility in Gaithersburg, Maryland. Um, it is, again, it's in Gaithersburg, Maryland. It's the preseason All State MoCo, MoCo being for Montgomery County. If you were unaware why we put that fun stuff in there, give it a name. But preseason All State MoCo that's in Montgomery County. It's at the 80 scale baseball facility in Gaithersburg, Maryland, February 17th. That's a Saturday. It'll be an afternoon kickoff, and we will run through that event as well because of our previous events have already, like I said, the second session is about to sell out in Maryland up at ASP. Our first session one in Glen Arm is already sold out, so we've added this extra event. If you're a Maryland person, want to get in there to that date, make sure you're signing up, requesting your invite. And then obviously as well, there are still some spots available to our Delaware preseason All State that will be February 25th in Middletown, Delaware. So still some events to see, but make sure you're getting through there. Now, let's get into the next item in business that I want to talk to before we start. Scout days. We have scout days that we run through Prep Baseball Report. It's a great way for your organization to have an extra tool in your arsenal to be able to promote yourself and your team. We do it at discounted rates. It's definitely something that has become more and more popular, but really it's a great way to help the organization really connect with schools, with coaches, and other people over the summer. It's a quick workout. I shouldn't say it's not a quick workout. It's a workout that doesn't have everything like you would coming to a regular event, but it is where we feel gives you a good base and a good foundation for when you're trying to recruit and promote players. Obviously, going to an event, you're going to get a ton more analytics, a lot more information that's going to be, the prime for recruiting yourself as a player. Or promoting yourself as a player. But Scout Days give a really strong foundation with videos, some of the analytics, some of the things that we really will help things get the ball rolling when it comes to the promotion. So make sure you're contacting either myself or Jamie for the Scout Days because we're already starting to fill up. So just wanted to throw that stuff out there, wasting too much of your time. Let's get into these event reviews. So the first event we're going to talk about a week and a half ago, we went out to Middletown, Delaware for a Delaware preseason ID, Jamie, and a lot of good talent there at this event. But let's get it started with just a real physical specimen, the hard hitting catcher out of Dover, Ryan Perkins.
Yeah, Ryan Perkins. We've seen him before in the past, but this one definitely opened my eyes on both sides of the ball. Started his day off BP, event best 97.4 exit velo, Poolside juice is there. It's evident. It's consistent. Really whips the barrel through. So there's plenty of strength there. I also love the way that he moves. For the size, 6 foot 240. It's definitely a physical frame, big bodied frame. But he moves extremely well behind the plate. I love the footwork. I love the arm strength, the exchanges. Everything moves extremely quick behind the plate. So for that size, it definitely bodes well for the next level. And he's still young, 2026. So there's a lot to like there, but I really like that hit tool.
Excellent. Now let's keep on going on. Now we've got another 2026 grad, two-way talent, again out of Dover. Julian Christman seemed like another really impressive day from this one.
Yeah, really like Christman. It was my first look at him. Love the two-way talent. Love the two-way talent. The hit tool's there. It's consistent, gap to gap. Creates a lot of lift. It's an uphill path. But on the bump is really what impressed me. I comped him to Hunter Chambers at the event. He and Hunter used the same pitching instructor. I was talking to Julian at the event. If you watch Julian's video, you see a lot of comp with Hunter Chambers. I love how the arm works. He hides the ball extremely well. It's deceptive. Fastball comes out really well. He can spin for strikes. So Chrisman definitely one to keep eyes on both sides of the ball.
Excellent. And continuing on, let's go up to northern Delaware. Let's go to Red Lion Academy, another athletic two-way talent, youngster here, 2027, Chandler Smith.
Yeah, super athletic. You could tell when we ran the home to first, the 30-yard time. There's a lot of quick twitch there in the body and the movements, and he can do it on both sides of the ball. We've seen him in the past at some events, at some scout days. Chandler Smith, definitely one that is trending north. I really like the swing. It's compact, it's short, it's quick. Line drive, he sprays to all fields. There's plenty left in the tank on the bump as well. You're going to see this arm get into the low to mid 80s very shortly. I love the changeup that he throws. He can spin for strikes as well. So Chandler Smith definitely one to keep eyes on and circle for years to come.
Excellent. Now, and these, or I should say, these early events, the preseason events, obviously freshmen and rising stars, were really geared towards younger players, trying to maybe create a better environment, a more comfortable environment for younger players of the same skill set. So we're going to be talking about a lot of young bucks in this one. Preseason All State, you tend to see a lot more of the older players because they've been to multiple events and so on and so forth. But another young buck here, really impressive, out of Cape Henlopen. You got 2027 Nicholas Clampet.
Yeah. Nicholas Clampett, obviously, we know his older brother, but Nick definitely impressed. It was our first look at Nick. I love the presence on the bump. I love the way that he can spin. He can throw the fastball to both sides of the plate. He uses all quadrants of the zone. The moxie, the confidence that he's up there with, I loved. It's something that kind of pointed out to me right away. So I love the actions. It's fluid. It's quick. The arm action is smooth. It's a high intent delivery, but I like them on both sides. It's a young two way that we'll see which one takes off. But the presence on the bump is definitely something that stood out to me.
Excellent. So that was our first weekend of events. The two or a week and a half ago in Delaware in the Middletown area. Now this past weekend we had two events that we were working that we covered. We ran our own event on Sunday up in north of Baltimore with the Maryland Preseason All State Freshman Showcase and Rising Stars. But on Saturday, we also doing an event as we partner with Diamond Skills Baseball, based out of the DC area, and we did an All American camp that we've done for a few years now to be able to see some of the players there as well. It's always been a fun event that we do every year. And we did want to take some time to talk about another young buck who stood out. There's a lot of players that we could easily talk about, but again, make sure you're heading to our Maryland website. You'll be able to see a lot of that because it's a much more more regionalized event as opposed to where we were really focused on the state of Maryland and Delaware. This is an event that's a lot more states are involved, so we're not going to get too stuck into it right here. But there is one player in particular that we did want to talk about who really stood out, and that is what's looking like a very interesting freshman class at Calvert Hall. Jamie, we talked about him a few pods ago, but this one I was really impressed, and I know you were too. That's 2027 Jake Lindsay.
Yeah, yeah, Jake Lindsay. We saw him at the scout day for Calvert Hall last fall. You want to talk about energy giver? That's Jake Lindsay. You kind of want to look at him and you want to let go of the reins and just let him go out there and play. And he impressed once again at the Diamond Skills event. It's high octane, high energy. Everything that he does, he goes 110% with everything that he does. I love the swing. It's strong. It's powerful. He creates backspin to the poolside gap. I think it's a swing that will continue to make strides as he gets older and the body really starts to fill out and the strength becomes to, go to the forefront of his body. But Jake Lindsay, it's a two-way talent. He didn't throw at the event, but we did see the swing. We saw the actions at third base as well. So the arm strength is already present. It's just going to continue to increase as the years come. But Jake Lindsay, you want to talk about a guy in that 27 class to circle, it's definitely him.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, you'll be able to see some more information on the website. Um, but that was one player, especially a Maryland player, we definitely wanted to discuss um, on here. Now, Sunday, let's get back to our event that we had up in Abingdon, Maryland at ASP. Really impressive. It turned out to be a sneaky, really, really good event. That preseason ID up there in Abingdon. Jamie, we got a lot of young bucks, but let's lead off with an older man who I say man because that's what he's looking like now. It's been funny because we've seen him since he was what eighth grade
Yeah,
going
seventh, eighth grade. Yeah.
young buck that was just skin and bones basically. He was tall and skinny, and now he looks like a man. And that is 2025 Will Ryan out of John Carroll.
Yeah, yeah, he is. He's no longer a young buck. I don't think we can call Will Ryan a young buck anymore. He
Absolutely.
is a he's a grown man. He's a physical specimen now. And you and I got on the phone after the event, and I said, look, I said that BP round it was legit. It was about as legit as you can come and you can see it. The poolside juice, the strength, the barrel awareness, the feel for everything at the plate, the actions are fluid, everything's smooth. Like that swing it's top tier. And you and I talked about the 25 class and how much we love that class. And Will Ryan has always been kind of middle of the pack in that top 10. But you're going to see him rise pretty steadily here soon, especially if we can transfer it to in game. But the actions that we saw at that event, they were special. He was 89 across the diamond, so we saw some increased arm strength there as well. But just the whip and the feel for the barrel that I saw during BP was definitely advanced. So Will Ryan, we're going to see him at a couple more preseason events leading into the spring. But Will is definitely trajecting in the right direction.
Yeah, and we talked about that in previous pods. We talked about in the rankings. He's had a really strong fall season and summer, and you're seeing we really got to see that firsthand. Just watching some of the mechanical adjustments in there, you see a little bit better whip of the barrel. Obviously, the strength, but just the confidence too, and the moxie, kind of just the way they swing. It looked different, but it really, honestly, wasn't a huge difference. It just looked like a lot more confidence in that swing, and that's
Mhm.
something that plays just a big factor as everything else. So really good to see some of that out of Will this past weekend, and looking forward to seeing him some more. Let's move on. Let's get back to Calvert Hall in this 2027 class. Another really interesting youngster, looking pretty good on the bump, and that is Hunter Dunst.
Yeah, yeah, we're going to talk about two of them here in the 27 class, and we've talked about Calvert Hall with how loaded that offense is. So with this 27 class, talking about Lindsay and Dunst and Kittleberger and all of them, and they still have a slew of young guys in that 27-28 class coming up. But you're going to see them getting their work down on the JV level probably this year, and moving forward. But Hunter Dunst, Drew Kittleberger, I'll talk about both of them kind of at the same time. But Hunter Dunst, I loved the actions that I saw in the bump. We've seen increased, barrel awareness offensively. You see the strength starting to come into form with the body. Um, but the way that I loved him on the mound, he was like 18 inches with the fastball, horizontal movement. Everything has late life through the zone. The fastball, he had PR at our event. He was up to 81. So you see some uptick in velo. You see the spin start to get a little tighter. Shape is looking a lot better. So Hunter Dunst, on both sides of the ball, you see an increase in the ability, and that's definitely going to be one to watch for as the summer rolls around, and we go into the year that's 2025 after this one.
And then, if you could just go a little bit more on Kittleberger for me, just on his day.
Yeah, and I guess I kind of messed up because I said I was going to talk about them both at the same time. But yeah, so Drew Kittleberger. I mean, I love the kid, him and Dunst both. Kittleberger, you're not going to get more than probably 5 words out of him at a whole event. I try to mess with him and try to get him to talk to me as much as possible. But Kittleberger, it's a switch hitter. I really love that swing. It's starting to become more and more fluid, smooth. The actions are starting to really dial in. I love that swing. Once that strength really starts to improve in the frame, you're going to see power numbers increase. It's a gap to gap line drive approach right now, which is great for him. And that's going to continue to transfer into some more loft and some more lift to the gaps, and backspin created. But that's a hit tool definitely to keep eyes on in that 27 class.
Yeah, and normally, like, you see some of these at other places. Maybe they would, you get to see them more, maybe the varsity scale. But a lot of these guys, like you said, they're going to be playing JV, and it's going to be really good because it's going to be every day getting those repetitions in. Going to be a lot of fun to keep an eye and just kind of watch how these players develop. Because, like you said, a lot of good things that we're seeing already with these young bucks. So let's continue on. Let's go to Poolsville with a really interesting outfielder out there. That's 2027 Reed Kimbell.
Yeah, Reed Kimball. I haven't seen much of him before this event, but that left-handed swing is it's legit. And I called you, or we were texting back and forth and talking about his swing. I really like the compact actions of it. It's smooth. He's got some uphill tendencies with it, but I love the balance. I love the barrel awareness. He covers the entire plate. He can spray both sides. But that was a hit tool that kind of jumped out to me from a guy that I hadn't seen prior to the event. So definitely one that stuck out there. Reed Kimball out of Poolsville, very athletic, some quick twitch there in the bat and the actions on both sides of the ball. So one to look at again in that loaded 2027 class in Maryland.
Yeah, for sure. Now let's move on. Last 2027 that we're going to talk about today. A player that we have spoken on a couple times, really stood out this past summer for us. That's 2027 Luke Gamble out of Arundel.
Yeah, Luke Gamble. We've seen a bunch of them at state games. We saw him at top prospect games, Maryland state games. We've seen him a bunch over the years, and you can consistently see the growth each time we see him. The hands are extremely quick at the plate. Really whips the barrel through the zone. Line drive tendencies. You see the strength start to come up in the frame. The actions on both sides of the ball we love. We love the quick twitch in the outfield. He moves extremely well. Arm strength is present already. It's starting to really increase as you see that strength really set into the body. But Luke Gamble, we love him. We like the hit tool there, and another strong showing at the event on Sunday.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is one of those cases too where we saw a really a nice increase. Just the winter was paying off. The strength training and everything else. You really saw a lot of that. So that's just something that whether it's the first time we see it and you see it, or we've got to see on multiple occasions, and you make some of those noticeable adjustments. That's what we're trying to do right here with all of this. So, like, really kudos to Luke for the work that he put in over the winter. You just got to keep on doing it and keep on doing it, because he's a young buck, that's for sure, being in the 2027 class. Now, what do you say? Let's one up. We don't normally like to do this, mainly because we want to stick with high school players. However, we did also do a Rising Stars event. Um, it's really to kind of get your feet wet, understand what you're about to get into going into the baseball recruiting. I would say world, but it's more like tornado monsoon, just the craziness of it. And so we run a showcase that is geared towards eighth graders to help give them a start, to try to give them some education on how to get working to that next level. And we really want to make this like a smaller, non invasive atmosphere. We try not to put too much on social media, that we'll throw some up on Instagram or a few tweets here and there. But when a player does stick out, obviously this is what we're about. We want to mention them and talk about it. So, you know, a player who really stood out, that's impressive, that you were really blown away from. And we were talking with his coach, and he was like, "Hey, you got to put your eyes on this guy. He's he's really good." And he was not wrong. And that's 2028 Mason Glover out of Sussex Academy in Delaware.
Yeah, yeah, Mason Glover, definitely a guy. When you look at the two events together, and at one point at the event, I had both events together where all the guys were in the same facility, and you look at Mason Glover, and you would have thought that he was a preseason ID kid with the frame and the physicality and the advanced kind of just look of him. He's 5'11", 170, definitely advanced for that age group in the 28 class, but he's a two-way guy right now. I like the actions on the bump. It's high intent. Fastball comes out extremely well out of the hand. There's a developing breaking ball that he's working with. But the actions on both sides were advanced, like I said, for the age. And that's something that definitely stood out, aside from the physicality and the frame, was just the fluid actions on both sides. So the hit tool is already consistent there. He sprayed to both gaps. There's some poolside juice already. So Mason Glover, we're not going to talk too much about him with him being in the 28 class, but definitely one to keep eyes on as a young buck in Delaware that I've really liked at the event.
Oh yeah, for sure. And just to kind of round out what I was talking about earlier with it too, like with especially with an eighth grader, like the eighth grade, this 28 class, like you're going to see an amazing amount of jumps. That's why we try to kind of keep quiet, because we want to see. It's amazing what happens between eighth grade to high school, and just the physicality and the strength, that change starting to play, and then even more so after your freshman year, from freshman to sophomore year, that jump as well, because the game just changes, because now you're really starting to play against guys who are older than you, and now you, as a young buck, you're trying to catch up. That's the beauty of college, and you really see that in college, is going from a freshman to sophomore. One of my old bosses always told every freshman at the end of your meetings, he's like, the best part about being a freshman is you're going into being a sophomore. So now everything's not so new. You're going to be able to develop a little bit more, and you know how you get to go through. That really that goes all the way down to this, as a 28 going in to high school. You're still going to have that, and so that's something that I just want to mention, because there's going to be a lot of those players. They're really good. It was a really good event, but there's still a lot of development left. So we just want you to grow and kind of go with it. Mason had a great day, and we wanted to acknowledge that. So I just wanted to kind of put that aside in there, for everyone on who's listening or who's already hung up or turned off at this point. But just want to thank everyone. That's going to do it for today's episode. I should start with that. Just want to thank everybody for listening. Jamie, any final words of wisdom for today? Are you actually going to give us something?
Yeah, yeah. Usually I say I'm a man of few words or whatever I usually say, but I'm fired up about these preseason events. Can't wait to keep rolling them out. I was telling some of the people I talk to, like I don't have a free weekend until probably August now. So, I can't wait. These preseason events are rolling. Maryland, Delaware. We just added the event on the 17th with the high demand of the other all-state event. So everybody get on the website, start getting into that event as well. But yeah, just can't wait to keep rolling. Ton of talent, and we see it just grow and grow and grow each year across Maryland and Delaware. So can't wait to keep rolling.
Absolutely. It is going to be limited participants for that Gaithersburg event, so make sure you sign up soon, because only a limited roster is going to be available in there. Guys, again, thank you so much for watching, for listening. Always, as always, thank you for your continued support. Um, I'm making up names now. For Jamie Naill, I am Jerry Shank. It's Crabcakes and baseball, because that's what PBR Maryland does. We'll see you guys next time.